It's time to go to war. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episodes 12 and 13 of Wakfu Season 4. The final two episodes of the season, closing things out as we head into this war. The last episode gave us kind of a little bit of a brief calm before the storm, just setting things up and getting the Brotherhood of the Tofu back together to fight against this impending army. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens here if other forces do come in to help, which after Brakmar's fall is kind of up in the air if that's even going to happen, but I guess we'll see. It could kind of go either way, but I almost kind of don't see them doing this on their own. As strong as they are, as skilled as they are, for them to take out these entire armies on their own just feels a little out of place. Feels a little unrealistic, in my opinion. But, I mean, we'll see how things are handled. But yeah, so we are doing these last two together. And then we're done. And I'll talk about afterwards in the afterthoughts. I'll mention what's happening next and everything then. But for now, we're just going to get into this and see what this has in store for us. Now, before we do, I do want to briefly bring up all the great stuff we have to check out on this channel. We have a plethora of awesome content, specifically between Monday and Friday, but we have an awesome array of great series reactions. And on Mondays, we also do YouTube or YouTube-adjacent reactions, anything that doesn't quite fit into a full series or movie reaction. Stuff like shorts, specials, one-offs, or even like just anything that doesn't quite fit into those kind of categories. Speaking of movie reactions, though, we do have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. They're recorded earlier in the week, but uploaded on the weekends so that every day has something going for it. And we currently have a couple of Let's Plays that we are going through. We're playing through Spider-Man 2 every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And really been enjoying that. If you're new to it, I would suggest just being wary of the first 9 parts. There are some audio issues. This has been my first time doing a Let's Play via capture card, so there's a lot of new stuff I had to figure out, so bear with me there. By part 10, I seem to have gotten it all figured out anyway, so we should be good moving forward. Just wanting to warn you that those first 9 parts, especially 5 through 9, do have some audio issues. Just letting you know. But it's still a great time, still a lot of fun. And on Saturdays, we play through Anno Mutationum. This is a donation reward Let's Play for Matthew Vasquez. If you wish to know more about how to donate for a PS5 Let's Play, there's a couple videos on the channel to check out, but the most recent one that'll give you the most up-to-date information would be the June double reward month video that also doubles as, updates for the PS5 Game Awards. If you want to look up that video, if you're watching this like well into the future after this is initially posted, just look up on the channel PS5 and June double reward month. You should find the one video that both of those connect to pretty easily. That all being said, though, we're just going to get into this and hope for the best. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction because, yes, we do redirect all of our reactions here on this channel. I know you want to watch it on the channel itself. You don't want to have to go through all these extra clicks. I understand, but you know how YouTube is. You know how YouTube's copyright system is. It's shit. So, to kind of deal with that, to avoid any possible channel strikes or even worse, channel termination, God forbid, because I've dealt with that before, don't want to deal with it again. It's too much to deal with it. So, to kind of circumvent that, we push everything off onto another site. It's really, really simple to get to. All you have to do is click the link in the description, takes you right to the page. Nothing else to worry about. And on the plus side, this means that all of you, yes, every single one of you, gets to see the full unedited reaction completely free. All you have to do, like I said, is click that link down below. It takes you to the full unedited reaction. There's no paywalls, no Patreons. You don't even have to sync up your own copy. Not every channel can do that, but I'm able to here, and I want to. I want to be able to give you guys the entire reactions without having to worry about any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, hope that helps at least with having to go to another site just to watch it. But after you do watch it, you can come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. But also just my general thoughts on it, general thoughts on the season and everything, and various other things about the channel and whatnot. And in the case of this video, I'm going to be announcing what's going to be coming next on the schedule for this slot. So always reasons to continue checking in, always reasons to continue watching the afterthoughts and all. But I think it's about time we get going on this. I think it's about time we see what this finale has in store for us and how this battle is going to go. I'm expecting some great things. Let's find out. So thank you all so much for tuning in. And for now, I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, while I like how that ended, I also feel like the ending bit, like the closure of this, the post-war stuff, I guess you could say, I wish there was more time to let that breathe and have like just a little bit more to it. I feel like it was like extremely rushed. It was like less than a minute, right? And it's like I understand there's like not a huge amount to show. It's just Hugo and Amalia's wedding and everything. But we see everyone is there and all, and I just kind of wish there was a little more, you know? Like, I didn't expect the goddess to return or anything. I knew she was, like, gone. She's pretty much abandoned everything at this point because of her fear. And honestly, if this does end up being the final season, I will be satisfied with that. If we never end up getting any more Wakfu, I will be entirely satisfied. I feel like this works as an ending. Not only because of the scale of everything, the fact that Taras Mordau could not actually be defeated, that he just had to be trapped again, but also the fact that it ends with Hugo and Amalia's wedding. I just feel like that's a satisfactory, happy way to end this that just works on all accounts. It feels like the conclusion to these character arcs in a way. So if this is the end, I'm completely good with that. But there are some things still left a little bit open to where it's like, oh, I could see there being a little bit more. I could see there being like another season to close things out. And if that does end up happening, well, obviously I'll be reacting to it, and I'll be more than happy to see that happen. But If it doesn't, I'm good. This finale was pretty much what I expected it to be. And I say that with positivity, because that could very much come across as negative. This is pretty much what I expected it to be. I didn't think that defeating Taras Mordal was really going to be, based on everything we'd seen, possible. And so I was kind of wondering how it was going to be resolved in that regard. And the idea of he and the other Necrome are just trapped again forever. That's all good. The war went pretty much like I expected. I expected there to be at least one casualty from it. And Armand was not who I was thinking, if I'm being completely honest. I was actually thinking it was going to be a member of the Brotherhood. And I know this is going to sound weird, but I was kind of thinking it was going to be Ruel. I was kind of thinking that after, like, having realized his mistake with his wife, and after having, like, kind of come to terms with this, he was going to, like, I was thinking he was going to sacrifice himself in order to let the new generation fix the mistakes that his had made, that kind of thing. That he was going to realize, like, the greed of how he has lived and everything. And he kind of did in the other episode, but at the same time, it's like, it's not quite the same. It's not what I expected exactly. I don't mind what they did with him, by the way. I'm not saying, like, oh, it would have been better if they did that. No, I'm fine with what they did, but I'm just saying. That's kind of what was on my mind, kind of what I was thinking was going to happen. Instead, it was Armand who sacrificed himself, which pretty much the instant I saw that that episode 12 was named after him, it's like I knew that was going to happen. It's like that's entirely in his character. And it just felt like the right way to close out kind of his character arc with Amalia and everything, with all that had gone on. It felt right. I mean, the way, like, his death was, like, revealed, though, I mean, when it did happen, obviously it was, like, built up, and it's like, oh, he's very clearly sacrificing himself. But when Amalia goes up to, like, the remains of his body, and it just crumbles as she touches, it's like, Jesus. It's like they sold that. Like, she didn't even really get to say goodbye to him. He kind of said goodbye to her, but, she was not prepared enough for that. That's definitely gonna, even though she's clearly in a good place at the end of this with her marriage to Hugo, it's very clear that's gonna leave some trauma in her, which is fair. I think a lot of people are probably gonna have trauma from this war, honestly. And you even had, like, the Armand's wife. I can never remember her name, but it's like when she tried to reach out for the bud and everything that Amalia was holding, Armand's bud, and Amalia kind of, like, reflexively, like, pulled it in closer to herself. Like, she seemed hurt. Not Amalia, the queen. You noticed that, right? Like, she seemed excessively hurt when Amalia did that. And I don't think Amalia meant anything, like, mean or anything by it. It's just, like, it was her brother, and she didn't want to, like, let him go and everything. But the queen looked really hurt and just abandoned everything. She just flew away. It's like, oh, okay. And obviously we never get any, like, follow-up to that, so it's just like, she's just gone. She just abandoned the Saudi kingdom. I mean, I know the one thing that was, like, connecting her to it was Armand, but still, it's like, Jesus, lady. Like, I understand, like, why what Amalia did there could hurt you, but you got to understand why she would do that, too. Like, come on. I also liked seeing Armand and Tristapin um, work together and, show respect for each other in the end there, too. That was really cool. Um, Talking about how they would fight over Ava and everything in the past. We know who won that battle, mind you, but the actual fights, even if they weren't going to end in like Taras Mordal like being defeated and everything, it's like the fights themselves were still really cool, really epic animation and overall just style to them. Like they really put everything into making these fights as cool and exciting as possible. I also like that pretty much the entire time the good guys were completely overwhelmed. Like they tried to fight back, but let's be honest, the forces of the Necrome were way too powerful. Like was said, they couldn't actually be defeated. That's why they had to be sent back to the Necro world and trapped there again. Because there was no way to actually defeat them, to actually stop them. And we see that. We see as well as some people do, like with Armand's sacrifice that stops Rodelstrom and everything. With all of the shit that they go through, it's like they're still not able to actually stop this, and they're still getting overwhelmed. To the point where Ava almost has to sacrifice herself too. She's literally telling Tristapin to gather up the children and run because she's planning on sacrificing herself. She's planning on dying there. Luckily, that doesn't happen. I was actually like really not happy about that. I was actually like kind of upset that that was happening. I'm so glad that it didn't actually happen. That it was stopped. Because like if Ava sacrificed herself too, like for one, I feel like it would be a little bit much. Like the self-sacrifice trope is amazing, but you can't overdo it. If you overdo it, it loses its meaning. So if you had Ava do it as well, I just feel like it would be too much. Like you only needed to do it the one time, and so I'm glad that's what they did, and it was just kind of a fake out. um, but also it was showing how far that Ava was willing to go. It was showing how much she loved her family and that she would give her everything for them. And then you had Nora and Ephraim, which is definitely the saddest result of this war. Because while Joris is able to free Nora thanks to Goltard and Hugo fighting off Taras Mordal, she basically makes the ultimate sacrifice herself. She doesn't die though. In order to stop Ephraim and to keep his and her powers away from Taras Mordal, she chooses to take her brother to the deepest reaches of space, the edges of the universe, and encase them both in stone, to petrify both of them, in order to make sure that their powers won't be used by anyone again. They are, again, not really in a state of death, but not a state of life either. Kind of a middle ground in that regard. Living in a permanent state of petrification. And that's really fucking sad. Because Ephraim was not like a villain per se. He was a victim too. He was left there for dead and in the end was succumbed to the entire issue. I was talking before in previous episodes, I was like, okay, what if they killed him and then he was reborn into the Dofus? But it's kind of made clear that that's just not possible at this point, right? Just like how the rest of the Necrome and Taras Mordal himself can't be killed. At this point, neither could Ephraim. Which means that their Dofus cycle, like as a duo, was halted permanently. And while she could be reborn, he would never be reborn. And so she chooses instead to just put them into that petrified state because that's the only thing left to do. And it's a really depressing ending to their story. Because Nora was being used this entire time for evil intent. And now she has to, like, even though she technically didn't do anything wrong herself, still faces the consequences of it. Still faces, like, a punishment in a way, an imprisonment. Like, honestly, I'm sadder for these two than I am for Armand. That might sound weird, but I really am. I am much sadder for them than I am for Armand. It's just kind of not the worst case scenario, but definitely a bad scenario. There was also that one woman who I said kind of looked like she. I was kind of wondering if she was like maybe a god or something. But I also noted I don't think she looked like any of the gods that, from what I can remember. Um, you can let me know as long as I guess it's. I guess at this point it wouldn't be a spoiler. You can let me know should I know who she is? Like, was she from a previous season? I just kind of. She was at the wedding too. She was at the wedding at the very end too. Am I supposed to know who she is? Because I feel like I'm supposed to know who she is. Let me see if I can describe her, if that helps anything. I'll mute this so we don't get any copyright issues. But I want you to know exactly who I'm referring to here, because like there was a moment where it focused on her, and I'm thinking like, okay, who the fuck are you? You are definitely important. But while I feel like I should know you, I kind of don't recognize you. Okay, so at the wedding, it's the part where Amalia's walking past. Also, you see Cleofe and the pirate girl, whose name I can't think of at the moment. They're there too. As is there. Everyone's kind of at the wedding, which makes sense. But as Amalia is walking past, you see this woman. She's right behind Goltard and Tristapin. You see her standing there. She has like a light bluish green hair. She has Sadida, or not Sadida, Kra ears. But this isn't the goddess Kra. But she has like the elf-like Kra ears, glowing blue eyes, some marks next to her mouth. It's like I really feel like I should know who she is. Like, was she from a previous season? I just don't remember her. I swear, like I really don't think that's like the goddess Kra again, because I know what the goddess Kra looks like from like stuff like Kra's Maga and whatnot, and that I don't think that's her. But yeah, you just see her standing there, and it showed her like very briefly at one point earlier in the episode. I think when Yugo was like doing something. Um, but it's like it didn't really go into like any detail or anything at the moment. Also, you see like kind of everyone else here during this scene, like Cherubim is here and whatnot. Kind of see like a bit of everyone during this wedding, Which is another reason, by the way, why I feel like this ending kind of feels like, even if there is nothing else, this feels like a complete ending. It's bringing in a bunch of characters from like previous seasons and all, characters who had a role to play and everything. It just feels more complete. You know what I mean? But again, if does end up being another season, I'm fine with that. But yeah, I'm just wondering who that woman is. You can let me know in the comments or on the Discord, whatever you want to do, whatever you're more comfortable with in that regard. But yeah, it's like I'm just looking at her, and it's like I feel like I really should know who that is, but I can't place it. If she was in a previous season, I just don't remember her. And if she wasn't, then that almost feels like setup. Like if she wasn't in a previous season and is like a newly shown character, even if she exists in the greater lore of this world otherwise, that's really interesting to just randomly include her in here and make a point of showing her. Because that makes me feel like they're planning something for another season, if that is the case. But again, let me know. I'm at this point, the season's done and everything, so I'm not worried too much about spoilers in that regard, because there's nothing else of the season to be spoiled on. But I think this was a fantastic closure. Again, whether it's to the season on its own or the series as a whole. Even though there was clearly a lot during this season that like connected to previous ones that I didn't fully remember, such as things that were mentioned in Kilby's season 2 monologues and all. I still was able to very much like be caught up enough to where it's like, oh yeah, I know what's going on for the most part. It's just like certain things, it's like I didn't remember were talked about briefly before. Pretty interesting nonetheless, though. And I talked about during over the course of the season that if this season, if the finale really sticks the landing, then it's probably going to be one of my favorites in terms of what I've reacted to, in terms of shows I've watched and everything. And yeah, I would honestly say it stuck the landing. It's not the best thing I've ever watched. It's not my favorite reaction I've done, but it's up there. I will say for sure it is up there. And I can be happy enough with that at least. I don't know at the exact moment exactly where I would place it, but it's definitely a phenomenal season, best season of Wakfu by far, and honestly, I'm very excited for any possibility of more, or for our next series, because it is time to announce what's going to replace this on the schedule. So, as you know, this slot is supposed to be for poll series. We had a poll series running concurrently with this when we started, but I decided when we started cutting things back and everything, oh, we're gonna have Wakfu run here, and then we'll go into the next thing after. Um, and I've been kind of conflicted over whether to continue with that plan or to go into this spin-off of Wakfu, of this universe and everything, in which a character from that spin-off showed up during the course of this season. The spin-off is called Lance Durr, and I was able to get a hold of all of the episodes subbed, even though it's not as easy to find as like Wakfu. And they're shorter. They're like half length, like 11-minute episodes. And there's not a lot of them. I think there's like 8 or 10 total, which is the equivalent of like 4 or 5 episodes. So I've been conflicted over whether to move on to that, since it's, directly related to this anyway, or to just go back into the next poll. And I think that the best way to do it is to just go into that, because the series is going to be short enough to where it's not going to take up a lot of time. And I feel like trying to save it for another slot would just feel needless at this point. I know I said we would be going right back into another poll series, and we're still going to do that next. But because of this series kind of coming out of nowhere for me, and it being so short, like let me see if I can look up the amount of episodes right now. Real quick. Because, again, I have them all already downloaded. And it's a full season. It's probably not going to even have a season 2 or anything. 7 episodes. It's not even 8 episodes. 7 episodes. Each episode is about 11-12 minutes long. So about the length of like something like early Steven Universe or Star Versus or whatnot. Yeah, it looks like they're all basically just under 12 minutes. But if I do like 2 episodes a week, pretty much, that's like 3 weeks that I could get this finished in, 3 or 4 weeks. So it's like it won't take that much longer, honestly. I think I can I think I can pretty much do it. I think the way I'm going to do it, though, is I think I'm going to do episode 1 on its own, since there's an odd number of episodes, and then do doubles for the rest of it. So, like, 1 will be on its own, then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7. I think that's the best idea. And I guess I'll talk more about it when I get to that first one next week, but I'll just say right off the bat, I know pretty much nothing about it except that the main character appeared in this series for like an episode or episode and a half or so. But I was told about this, and it's just like, I'm just gonna get this out of the way since it's so quick. It'll take 4 weeks to get through if we do it in that way I talked about. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 4 weeks. That shouldn't be that big of a problem. Then we will. Then I promise we will get back to the poll stuff. I really do. So that is the plan. I'm definitely interested to see how this compares, because the only other World of 12 series I've tried watching is Dofus, obviously, and I couldn't get into that one as much. It felt more like for kids, I guess you could say, to me. It didn't feel as exciting and as interesting and intense and whatnot. You get what I mean. It just felt like it was more of a kids show than Wakfu is. And it was just hard for me to get through. But that was just a me thing, and we're gonna see how this one does. Again, it's only 7 episodes, so it's not gonna be hard to get through. But I do apologize for anyone who was waiting for the poll and everything. But yeah. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. And obviously, I'll talk more about that once we finish up Lancer. I'll go more into that. But that is going to be replacing Wakfu Season 4 for the next 4 weeks. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this finale of season 4 of Wakfu? And thank you, as always, so much for tuning in. I want to remind you that we do have a lot of other awesome content to check out on the channel as well. Every Monday through Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions. And on Mondays, we also do YouTube, or at least YouTube adjacent reactions. Anything that doesn't quite fit into a full series or a movie reaction. And speaking of the latter, we have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I record them early in the week, but they're uploaded on the weekends so that every day has something going on for it. And on top of that, we are doing a couple of Let's Plays currently on the channel. Every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, we're playing through Spider-Man 2, and every Saturday, we're playing through Anno Mutationum. Anno Mutationum is also a donation reward Let's Play from Matthew Vasquez. If you wish to know how to donate for a PS5 Let's Play in the future, check out one of the videos on the channel speaking of the PS5 game reward months, or the more recent video that is honestly more up to date anyway on that. Check out the recent video that is like all about the June double reward month. If you search for that on the channel along with PS5 in there, you should come to it with ease. It's it should also be the only June double reward month announcement video for 2024, so you'll be able to find it easily. No worries there. But all of that being said, thank you so much once again for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.